I'm so sick of that same old love. That shit, it tears me up. I'm so sick of that same old love. My body's had enough.
I freaked out. I forgot everything.
Benny Blanco was spotted at a trendy LA restaurant with a mystery woman, while Same Old Love, a hit he produced for Selena Gomez, played in the background. Sources now confirm that shortly after seeing the footage, Selena unfollowed one of her closest friends on Instagram and has since gone completely silent online. Stay with us as we unpack what might really be going on behind the scenes. Selena Gomez and Benny Blanco's engagement, which began in late 2023, has felt like a new era for both. Their relationship had been widely seen as authentic, emotionally mature, and refreshingly drama-free. From red carpet snapshots to casual social posts, they've shared a connection that fans embraced for its creative, genuine energy. But everything shifted in March 2025 when content creator Harry Daniels posted a TikTok that instantly went viral. The clip showed Benny having dinner with Teresa Marie at a fancy LA restaurant. Notably absent from the scene, his fiancée, Selena Gomez. And here's where the layers get messy. Teresa isn't just a random guest, she's been part of Selena's inner circle for years. What could have passed as a casual, harmless dinner quickly morphed into viral drama, especially when you factor in the song choice. As Harry approached them filming, he sang along to Same Old Love, a hit song co-written and produced by Benny for Selena. The choice wasn't accidental, it was layered, meta, and for many, loaded with emotional symbolism. Adding to the speculation, Benny chuckled when confronted on camera, joking, "Are you just following me at this point?" The comment had confidence, sure, but it didn't stop the internet from dissecting the entire scene frame by frame. While Benny's reaction passed the vibe check for some, TikTok and Twitter users weren't so sure. Fans examined body language, dinner dynamics, and, of course, Selena's absence. With Teresa Marie involved, it became more than just a tabloid moment. It became a full-blown mystery. Teresa isn't just another influencer, she's been publicly linked to Selena's inner circle for years. They've worked together, praised each other online, and been seen at events together. So her being spotted at dinner with Selena's fiancé without Selena sparked major curiosity. Some fans dismissed the interaction as nothing significant. After all, mutual friends of a couple hanging out isn't that wild, but others felt the whole thing was too calculated to ignore. The history, the timing, the song. It all felt off. Social media reactions were instant and intense. TikTok creators like our Selena's Defender and Celeb Uncensored released entire series breaking down the 15-second video. Every glance, shift, and moment was studied like evidence. One major point of discussion: the location. According to fans, it's one of Selena's favorite restaurants. Why would Benny bring another woman, especially someone from Selena's circle, there unless it was totally above board? Was this harmless or something deeper? Some fans argued that it was part of planning something special for Selena. Others thought it hinted at betrayal. Theories flew. Was this a secret surprise or a signal that trust had been broken? The internet exploded into two camps. It's not that deep versus this is definitely sus. And with no public statements from anyone involved, the speculation only escalated. The video's virality wasn't just about who was in the frame, it was about what each person represented. In the pop culture ecosystem, this wasn't just dinner. It was a convergence of character arcs, fan investment, and years of emotional storytelling. Selena Gomez is widely seen as the embodiment of growth and resilience. She's been transparent about her battles, health, heartbreak, and healing. Benny Blanco, on the other hand, has carved out his niche as a quirky, unfiltered creative with real talent and heart. Their relationship has been celebrated for its depth and sincerity. So, when someone from Selena's trusted circle, like Teresa, enters the frame in this context, it changes everything. Teresa has long been part of Selena's life, not as background noise, but as a meaningful presence. She's been called out in posts, appeared in events, and even collaborated professionally. So when she's seen having one-on-one dinner with Selena's fiancé, people didn't just shrug it off. It was eyebrow-raising at best and downright suspicious at worst. Social media erupted. Some fans argued this was harmless, just two friends planning something behind the scenes. Others weren't convinced. The context, the history, and the visuals didn't sit right. To many, It felt like betrayal dressed as coincidence. Comment sections became war zones. On one side, users preaching calm. Besties hang out all the time. Relax. On the other, TikTok detectives pointing out every detail. The way Benny shifted in his seat, the specific restaurant, even Teresa's outfit. That's Selena's stylist's work, some claimed. Maybe they're planning something. Or maybe they're not. Suddenly, the question wasn't just whether this dinner was innocent. It became about something bigger. Loyalty, boundaries, and what we expect from people inside celebrity circles. The parasocial relationship fans have with Selena turned this moment into a full-blown cultural event. As the video continued to rack up views, fans grew more emotionally charged. Some praised Harry's chaotic TikTok timing and his song choice, calling him the unexpected main character. Others expressed genuine concern. There were disappointed fans, confused fans, and plenty who admitted they didn't know what to believe anymore. The 15-second clip became more than a meme. It became the entire internet's focus. A casual dinner, framed by just the right soundtrack and caught on the right app, spiraled into one of 2025's biggest celebrity discussion threads, and the silence didn't help. Neither Benny, Teresa, nor Selena responded to the clip. Not on TikTok. Not with a notes app, not even in vague tweets. And when there's no statement, the internet fills in the blanks. Fast. That silence, it was louder than any post. Fans took it as a signal. Good or bad, no one could agree. But the lack of clarity made room for the theories to evolve and the drama to deepen. The TikTok moment with Benny and Teresa turned into more than a simple sighting. It became a cultural case study, a snapshot of how quickly narratives form. In a world driven by algorithms and parasocial attachments, a dinner, a song, a missing fiancé, that was all it took for the timeline to explode. Selena's fans, already fiercely protective of her, weren't just watching, they were decoding. Remember, Selena has been open about years of feeling alone, about past betrayal, and about her. Long road back to emotional trust. So when something potentially shady involved someone from her inner circle, it didn't feel like tea. It felt personal. Fans weren't reacting just to the dinner, they were reacting to what it might represent. After years of L's in the romance department, Selena's engagement to Benny was seen as a hard-earned W, so anything that even hinted at trouble sparked collective anxiety across her fandom. Theories ran wild. Some fans thought it was all harmless. Others believed something deeper was brewing. What was clear, this wasn't just a viral moment, it was an emotional flashpoint. One that touched everything from trust to trauma to the blurred lines between public and private life. Still, the main players stayed silent. And that silence became its own kind of statement. The speculation continued for days. And just when things started to cool down, a new twist hit the timeline. On April 30th, 2025, eagle-eyed fans noticed something different. Selena had quietly unfollowed Teresa on Instagram. No explanation, no subtweet, no shady post. Just a clean, silent unfollow. And that single action sent the internet into another frenzy. In the world of celebrity social media, an unfollow is never just an unfollow, especially when it involves someone who's been your ride or die. Especially when there's a viral video floating around of that same person at dinner with your fiancé. Within minutes, fans were connecting the dots. Was the unfollow linked to the TikTok? Was it a sign of betrayal, hurt, or just boundaries? For some, it confirmed their suspicions. For others, it raised even more questions. Why now? What happened behind the scenes? And more importantly, what does it mean for Selena and Benny? For fans who had followed Selena and Teresa's friendship for years, this wasn't just drama, it was a plot twist. These two weren't occasional collaborators. They'd worked together, celebrated each other publicly, shared personal and professional milestones. Their bond felt solid, loyal, real. So when Selena quietly hit unfollow, the fandom took notice. And in true stan culture fashion, they went back to the receipts, old TikToks, photo dumps, stories from past years, interviews, business ventures, all of it was reanalyzed through a new lens. And the question loomed large: what really happened? At that dinner, to make things even more layered, fans noticed that Teresa didn't unfollow Selena. She was still following both Selena and Benny. That imbalance raised eyebrows. Was Teresa extending an olive branch, trying to avoid the appearance of drama, or just staying quiet to protect her own peace? No one knew for sure, but the theories multiplied. Some saw her silence as strategic. Others thought it reflected confusion or guilt. Either way, the asymmetry became another breadcrumb for social media detectives to dissect. Comment sections turned into think tanks. Instagram stories got screenshot. Every digital move became a possible clue. And through it all, there was still no official word, no clarification, no context, which meant that, for better or worse, the internet would fill in the gaps. For some, this was proof of betrayal. For others, it was just an emotional overreaction to something that wasn't that deep. But the reason it felt so deep was because it touched something real, the fragile nature of trust. Especially when it comes to friendships that span years, platforms, and the pressure of the spotlight. This wasn't just about a dinner, it was about boundaries, loyalty, and the question everyone's afraid to ask. When do you stop giving someone the benefit of the doubt? As the internet debated the meaning behind every move, another layer was added to the drama: Teresa Marie's backstory. She wasn't just any influencer, she was part of Selena's trusted circle, someone who'd been with her through multiple seasons of life. Teresa had first worked as Selena's executive assistant back in 2016-2017. But their relationship quickly evolved from professional to personal, turning into a best friend dynamic that spanned years. Their friendship wasn't just public, it was collaborative. They'd worked together on a 2019 swimwear campaign that was praised for its body positivity, raw energy, and emotional transparency. The campaign felt like a reflection of both their journeys, showcasing strength through vulnerability. That campaign became a moment, with fans, fashion creators, and even marketing professors referencing it as a blueprint for authenticity in branding. To the timeline, Teresa was more than just a background player. She was canon, a real one, a ride or die. She wasn't always front and center, but when she showed up, it mattered. From Instagram posts to red carpet appearances to quiet birthday parties, she had been there. That's why this dinner with Benny felt jarring to fans. It wasn't just proximity, it was history. And in an industry where friendships often feel curated, theirs felt genuine, low-key, rooted. Even after Selena's public profile skyrocketed with new music, a beauty empire, and mental health advocacy, Teresa stayed a quiet but constant figure in her life. She also carved her own lane. Teresa now boasts over 158,000 Instagram followers and runs a thriving OnlyFans account. Her background includes working for Kim Kardashian and assisting Robin and Teen, founder of the Pussycat Dolls. Her career was proof she understood how to move in celebrity circles. But it also meant her every move, especially when tied to Selena, was under a different kind of microscope. That's why, when she was seen dining with Benny, the narrative didn't stay neutral for long. When the TikTok of Benny and Teresa first surfaced, it wasn't an instant explosion. At first, it just seemed like another creator catching a casual celebrity moment. Benny being Benny, Teresa being someone familiar. No big deal, but everything shifted on April 30th, when fans noticed Selena had unfollowed Teresa. Suddenly, that dinner clip wasn't just content, it was evidence. The timeline ignited, theories solidified, and what once felt like light speculation became a viral narrative storm. The unfollow was subtle, quiet. But in the world of celebrity social media, subtle doesn't stay subtle for long, especially not when it involves a friendship with years of visible loyalty and mutual support. In a digital universe that thrives on tea and timelines, this unfollow wasn't just a passive move. It was interpreted as a statement. And for fans invested in Selena and Teresa's friendship arc, it hit. Different receipts were resurfaced. Threads were updated. Comment sections turned into full-blown investigations. Had the dinner crossed a line? Had something been said behind the scenes that shifted the vibe? Or was it simply a matter of Selena setting boundaries? What complicated the narrative even more was the fact that Teresa hadn't unfollowed Selena, or Benny. That detail became fuel for multiple interpretations. Some saw it as her trying to stay neutral. Others thought it was an attempt to avoid, stirring up even more drama. But either way, the imbalance in social behavior added a new layer to the whole situation. For longtime fans, this didn't feel like petty drama. It felt like a turning point, a fracture in what once seemed like a rock-solid friendship, and the absence of any public comment, that silence made it feel even more real. It wasn't about captions or notes app apologies, it was about what wasn't being said, and the digital body language fans were left to decode. As the timeline spiraled deeper into analysis, one truth became impossible to ignore. This wasn't just about a dinner, it had become a conversation about loyalty and the expectations fans place on celebrity friendships. The silence from all parties involved only intensified the discourse. With no one addressing the clip or the unfollow directly, every frame, every follow, every micro interaction became part of the mystery, and in today's social media ecosystem, silence speaks just as loudly as a statement. That's the thing about digital fame in 2025. The smallest ripple, an Instagram tap, a glance at dinner, a familiar face in the wrong setting, can become the wave that drowns the entire narrative, and then came the plot twist that reframed everything again. On May 7th, 2025, Selena posted a throwback carousel to Instagram with the caption, "Little blast from the past because basically I'm lying horizontal and reminiscing about some memories." Buried in the photo dump, a shot featuring Theresa Marie, and that wasn't all. Around the same time, Selena shared an Instagram story of Benny hanging out with her family dog and his nephew, casual, warm, domestic content. Suddenly, the narrative whiplash hit hard. Was this resolution, reconciliation, damage control? Fans didn't know what to make of it, but they noticed. And they had thoughts. To many, this was classic Selena, responding not with words, but with subtle, meaningful gestures. No drama, no callouts. Just a quiet update that suggested things might be okay after all. It wasn't just a plot development. It was a reminder of how Selena has consistently chosen to move. Calmly, strategically, and with emotional intelligence. This quiet update from Selena felt familiar to fans who've followed her for years. She doesn't do the messy fallout. She doesn't post cryptic tweets or fire off clapbacks. Instead, she lets subtle signals tell the story, and it's a story that's been building over time. Selena has always emphasized transparent communication, both personally and professionally. Whether in interviews or documentaries, she's been vocal about surrounding herself with people who value honesty, loyalty, and emotional safety. Her openness about mental health, including her bipolar diagnosis, has only deepened that message. In her conversation with Jay Shetty, she talked about finding peace in her diagnosis, about choosing people who support her healing, about setting real boundaries. That's why this entire situation hit fans so hard. It wasn't just tea, it was personal. Because for those who've walked with Selena through every season, from the heartbreaks to the wins, seeing anything that threatened her peace felt like a direct hit. Her connection with Benny represented a new chapter. After 5 years of being single post-Bieber, she'd entered a new relationship rooted in stability and respect. And for many, that marked a hard-earned emotional win. So when that relationship seemed to face a potential fracture, whether real or imagined, the fandom reacted with deep investment. Fans didn't just want gossip, they wanted reassurance. And through that photo dump, that Insta story, that soft reappearance of Theresa Marie, Selena gave just enough to quiet the chaos. Without ever feeding it, it wasn't a PR stunt. It was emotional clarity. What's especially striking about Selena's handling of the situation is how much it mirrors her personal growth. She's spoken openly about her journey towards self-worth, trust, and boundaries. And this situation, with all its internet chaos and speculation, became a live case study in how she's applying that growth in real time. Fans who've been with her since the beginning could see the evolution. No messy fallout, no dragged out subtweets, no reactive energy. Instead, she created space. Then, when she was ready, she re-emerged, not with drama, but with grace. Some fans even celebrated the moment, calling it exactly what her therapist would recommend. Others praised it as a model of emotional intelligence we rarely see in celebrity culture. Psychology TikTok even joined the conversation. Creators with millions of followers broke down the situation, calling Selena's silent, boundary-driven response a sign of real inner work. One mental health content creator put it best. Notice how she doesn't do the public call-out post? That's growth. It's the kind of approach that resonates, especially in a culture where online conflict often gets rewarded with engagement. Selena didn't play into it. She simply moved on her own terms, and that's what made the whole. saga stand out because it wasn't just about whether Benny and Teresa crossed a line. It became a broader reflection on how people navigate tension, trust, and communication when millions of eyes are watching. It's also important to remember Selena and Benny's relationship didn't just pop up overnight. It came after 5 long years of her being single, by choice. After her high-profile, emotionally complicated history with Justin Bieber, she took time to heal, to rediscover herself, to rebuild. And for fans who'd walked beside her through that journey, Benny wasn't just the next boyfriend, he was the reward, the one who showed up after the heartbreak, the partner who met her at a time when she was whole, not broken. That's why the idea of betrayal, real or not, hit so hard. To fans, this wasn't just a celebrity romance. It was a symbol, proof that you could go through hell and still find something steady, something safe, something real. So when drama threatened that picture, even in the form of a vague TikTok or a silent unfollow, it activated something deep in the fandom. A protective instinct, a fear of history repeating itself, because Selena had earned this peace. She'd talked openly about trust issues, about the struggle to let people in again, and seeing anything that even hinted at a breach, it felt like watching someone mess with the one good thing she fought to build. That's what made this moment different. It wasn't just about drama. It was about everything that led up to this point and what it could mean moving forward. Even with Selena's clear effort to maintain boundaries around her private life, the public lens never really turns off. Every move she makes, especially in her relationships, is magnified, analyzed, and immortalized in the discourse. Even when she doesn't speak, the narrative keeps writing itself, and in this case, all it took was 2 small actions to trigger a social media firestorm: a TikTok of Benny and Teresa at dinner, and a quiet unfollow. That's it. That's the whole plot. No statement, no scandal, no hard receipts, just vibes, timing, and a fandom with a long memory. Yet somehow, those 2 moments were enough to generate headlines, trend hashtags, and divide an entire online community. Some immediately assumed betrayal, others begged for context. Many were somewhere in between, caught in the emotional whiplash of watching a potential friendship fracture in real time. And when no one involved offers clarity, that emotional uncertainty becomes the story. The narrative fills itself in. Fans start projecting, analyzing, arguing, not because they're nosy, but because they're invested. Because Selena's journey hasn't just been entertainment. It's been relatable, healing, symbolic, and that emotional weight turns even the smallest shift in her story into a moment that matters. The polarized reactions to this saga weren't just about drama. They were about projection. Because when fans root for someone like Selena, they're not just rooting for a pop star. They're rooting for the survivor, the girl who rebuilt, the woman who chose herself after being publicly broken. So when anything threatens that storyline, even vaguely, it feels personal. And let's be honest, this moment never came with proof. No confirmed betrayal, no confession, just speculation, wrapped in silence. But still, it spread. Why? Because we live in a time where narratives move faster than facts, where timelines don't need confirmation to crown a villain or a victim, and in Selena's case, that reality is amplified. Everything she touches becomes lore. Every photo becomes a clue. Every friend becomes a character. Even Benny, who's largely kept things goofy and low-key, got swept into the intensity. As did Teresa, who suddenly went from loyal bestie to potential traitor in a matter of days, all because of a few seconds of TikTok footage and an unfollow, and in all of it, no one said a word, no Instagram Notes app, no press exclusives, just silence, which in today's climate is often the loudest thing you can do. And that silence, it wasn't just strategy, it was power. Selena, Benny, and Teresa, all 3 chose not to engage. And by doing so, they shifted the weight of the moment back onto the public, onto us, the observers, the interpreters, the ones desperate to define what we were seeing. Because when celebrities stay silent, fans don't stop talking. They talk more. And in this case, the silence wasn't just about protecting privacy, it became a mirror, reflecting just how far parasocial relationships have gone. Just how emotionally attached people have become to someone else's personal growth arc. For many fans, Selena isn't just a singer or an actress. She's a symbol, of healing, of emotional evolution, of self-respect earned through heartbreak. So, when any element of her life feels unstable, especially her love life, it doesn't just spark curiosity. It triggers protectiveness, defensiveness, emotional memory. And that's what made this dinner plus unfollow combo such a perfect storm. Not because it proved anything, but because it didn't. It gave just enough to stir the algorithm, but not enough to settle anything. It fed speculation without confirming a single thing. It left everything open, and in 2025, that's all it takes. As 2025 continues to unfold, one thing's certain: this moment won't be forgotten. Whether it turns out to be minor friendship drama, a misinterpreted dinner, or something deeper, this story has already left its mark on the fandom. It's been analyzed, memed, theorized, and unpacked from every angle. And still, no one really knows the truth, but maybe that's the point. Because in the world of celebrity, not every story has a resolution. Some just fade, others evolve behind the scenes, and a few get immortalized. Not for what actually happened, but for what the public felt about what happened. And this moment, it hit harder than most, because it wasn't just a narrative twist. It was a test of everything Selena has stood for: emotional clarity, healthy boundaries, and learning to protect your peace without performing it. Theories about Benny cheating on Selena with Teresa, they remain just that. Theories, no hard proof, no confirmations, just online sleuthing, creative speculation, and a fandom reacting to breadcrumbs. And yet, for many, it still meant something. Because when your emotional investment runs that deep, even the suggestion of disloyalty is enough to fracture your trust. That's the paradox of modern celebrity. The closer we feel, the further the truth actually gets. This entire saga was a reminder that when you're famous, even grabbing dinner becomes a headline. Even a tap of the unfollow button can send algorithms into meltdown. And when you're someone like Selena Gomez, whose story of recovery, trust, and self-worth has been witnessed by millions, every relationship becomes part of a larger narrative. That's the cost of vulnerability in the spotlight. That's the reality of fame in a hyper-online world. Still, through it all, Selena's choices have stayed aligned with the person she's grown into. She doesn't perform chaos. She doesn't owe the timeline explanations. She sets boundaries, takes space, and lets her peace speak louder than her posts. And that's why fans ride so hard for her, because she's not just surviving fame, she's evolving through it. With grace, with dignity, with emotional intelligence that's becoming increasingly rare in this era of oversharing. Whether or not the Benny-Teresa drama had any teeth, one thing is clear: the perception of betrayal can sometimes cut deeper than the act itself. In a world driven by clicks and comments, sometimes all it takes is a song, a dinner, and a silence loud enough to echo across the internet. And in that silence, millions of people filled in the blanks with their own fears, hopes, and projections. That's the real story. Not what happened, but what we needed to believe.